So welcome everyone. This session is going to be specifically about the query and the full text search API in Couchbase Mobile, the upcoming 2.0 API, which is in developer preview. There's a lot of things we're showing you today, so just to clarify a few things, the convergence talks you heard just previously that Sachin showed you, all of those features are available in 1.5, and that's in the documentation. And this is the 2.0, which is going to come out later this year. But 1.5 is in the developer preview, so you can try it out, and we get your feedback, and we try and make it work the best we can and stuff. 2.0 is in developer builds mode, so we're releasing new developer builds every 2 weeks, and you can try what's changed in the developer build. All right, so with this said, let's get started. In this session, we'll take a different sample application. It'll be a travel sample app, which is what the server has been using for a while. It's got about 35,000 documents and lots of different types and data sets. I'll explain how I went about migrating, how I went about moving all that data into a mobile database that I can then query with the 2.0 API, and then show you the examples of the 2.0 API. So we have comparison operators like equal to, like greater than, the end clause, ordering, and some features are not there, like grouping or aggregation, joins as well, but they're going to be there. So it's just to get you onto the right track to try it out, and then tell you what's coming. And then full text search as well afterwards, which I'll present. So the travel sample application, let's have a look. Okay, so if you go to the server documentation, there are instructions on how to start the. I'll show you quickly. So that's the travel sample app, and I've just followed all these instructions, and I've got it running on my laptop. So I'm going to log in, and what is it saying? Just going to restart that. Okay, I think it's because the user already exists. No. Okay, I'm going to. Just going to delete that document, and I'm probably going to try and log in from a new window. Okay, so now I'm logged in. As you can see, is my username, my email, and I can start searching for from origin and destination airports. For example, HE will return Heathrow and Seattle. And then I can say what date I want to leave on, which is in the past, I know, and when I want to return. And that returns the list of flights. So those were 2 nickel queries, which returned all those flights. Let's say I choose those 2. I can see that they're now in my basket, and I can then book them, which means that they will get assigned to my user in the buckets. So there's a document, there are two buckets, one for the travel sample, for the static data, airport, routes, airlines, and then the default is the user bucket, which has my reservations. Yeah, so Seattle, Heathrow to Seattle, and the return. Okay. So to have an equivalent travel sample data bucket on mobile, first of all, we would, let's have a look at what it has. So it's at 35,000 documents of type airline, route, airport, hotel, and it's bundled in Couchbase Server. So when you start Couchbase Server, the data is already there. You can click travel sample, and it will just be moved into a new bucket for you. But on mobile, that's what we want to do. We want to take those 30,000 documents, move them into a cblite.2 file, and that's something you might want to do for any application that has pre-built data when you download the app from the App Store, so the user doesn't have to use its bandwidth to replicate all of the documents. So to do that, specifically, because the data is already in Couchbase Server, without the mobile metadata, what I did is just used the import docs equals true statement, and when I start SynGateway with the travel sample bucket pointing, SynGateway will automatically import all of those. Now with what Sachin just showed before, the 1.5 features and the continuous import, that's not needed anymore. I mean, as soon as you start SynGateway in 1.5, when it's J, it will automatically look for documents that are not mobile enabled and process them and add the metadata and so on. And then you could create a simple application that does a pull replication to from your local SynGateway instance to your local database. And after that, it will have this .cblite2 file. Okay. So I'll show you quickly what the data model looks like. So the airline documents just hold the airline information. The airports have the geographic location, airport name, country, location, and the route has the schedule for that specific route, so from MCO to SCA, and for every day of the week. And then there's also hotel documents which have a lot more data, like long descriptions, so that's where we'll use full text search. Okay. So in this setup here, I'm just going to follow the steps. There's the travel sample.zip file. Okay. So let's see, if I run this, I'll see that all the documents are in the Couchbase Lite database. And that's a very long list, but they're all in there. Yeah. So the first query we want to run is what happens, this nickel query. Select airport name from travel sample where the FAA property is equal to what the users put in the input text. So the FAA property on the airport is here. Oops. So if I type in UES, I get this airport on the server. And so here on the mobile side, let's just have the same FAA code, UES. So here you see the same result that was returned on the server. N1QL query is also returned on the mobile side. However you pronounce that, Worcestershire County Airport. And yeah, so the equal to operator is case sensitive, so that's why we're using the .uppercase method to match that property. Now, if the user inputs 4 characters in the input field, the N1QL equivalent is going to search for the ICAO property. So every airport document also has an ICAO property. This time, let's use KSFO, which is the ICAO code for SFO. And it's there. OK. So in this case, it's returned there as well. Now, a bit more fancy, let's say that we start typing a few characters of an airport name, and we want to match on airport names that begin with those letters. So not an equal to, but more like a like operator. So if I typed in HE, I'd get all those options. If I carry on typing more characters, I get only one. So on N1QL, you have the like operator and the N% sign as a wildcard character to denote if you want to match before, after, or before and after those characters. And so this N1QL query, this Couchbase Mobile query is doing the same thing. It's using the same wildcard character, and in this case, it's doing it before and after the characters. So let's see what the results are like. There's 3 results that are returned, and we were matching on Heath. But we kind of only want, if a user types Heath, maybe we only want results to begin with those letters, not to be matched at the end of the word or midway through. So let's remove the first N%. Let's see what the results are now. Okay, so now it only returns Heathrow. So that's 4 lines of code, 3 lines, and you can use that to match on all sorts of properties in your app, in your data model. So once the user has inputted all of those fields, the N1QL query is actually going to search for, let's have a look at the data model again. It's going to search for documents of type root that have a source airport beginning with what was typed in and a destination airport beginning with what was typed in. Those are actually FAA code. So if a user typed in Heathrow, your app would have to first query the airport, because Heath is more like the airport name, but you need the FAA code. So you're going to query the airport to get the FAA code, and then you're going to query the root document with that FAA code. This is effectively a join. But Couchbase Mobile, in the current developer build, doesn't support join, so you just have to do 2 queries or wait for the next developer build to come out. So let's have a look, because they will definitely be supported. So this query here, I've used 2 FAA codes that I know exist. So the where clause is matching the MCO on the source airport, and then there's an N clause that's an equal to on the destination airport. And this returns the routes between those 2 airports. Now I'm going to print the airlines that actually operate that route. So that's AS and AA. I think that's American Airline. What's the first one? AS? I don't know. Australia? No. Anyway, Yeah. Now let's talk about ordering. If you had results of a query in your app and you wanted them to be ordered in a specific way, you would have to use the order by statement, because by default there is no ordering in queries. So the results returned are in whatever order the database decides to send them you to as. Right? So actually, results are always a set, and a set is unordered. So if you want the results to be ordered, then you can use the order by. So here it's matching the airport name and anywhere in that field the London word. But that's not ordered alphabetically, so let's add the order by. Oops. Okay, I don't know why it's not right. Yeah, that's a typo. I don't think I'm. Yeah, I'm not returning that. That's. I think there's the syntax not right. So order by. I'll have to look up the API spec. Anyway, so once that's there, the results are returned alphabetically. So you tell the query by which property you want to order the results as. You can also have so the operations that are supported right now are just returned in the editor: add, and, between, divide, equal to, less than. Like is the one we used. You can do a regex match as well. Haven't got an example for that one. And what we haven't shown here are joins. Well, yeah, so projections. So in all those examples, the select statement doesn't support projections right now. So your results are going to be the whole documents. But say you just wanted 2 or 3 properties of those documents, then you would need to select those specifically like you would in Nickel. So that will be supported in a future developer build. And data aggregation, so like the group by operator and joins. And full text search is a completely different beast. That's when you want to have, obviously, you want to search on fields in a more in-depth way. So say you had an input field and you wanted to search for hotels that have the keyword like seafront in them, you would use full text search. I'm using the same data set in this example, and that's what the query looks like. So there's a select statement from the database, and the where clause is an expression that matches the description property with the word seafront. And this syntax is pretty similar to the one we saw before for queries. So the way Couchbase Lite knows if you're creating a full text search query or a normal query is whether you're using the match keyword. So match is specifically for full text search. But the database is telling us that there's no table, there's no index on the description right now. So let's go back here. I'll comment this. Okay. So let's print it. Okay, so we have 4 results, 4. And the results of that query are not CBL query rows like you would have on a normal query. They're full text query rows. And so full text query rows have a bit more metadata specific to FTS. For example, you can have a look at what was matched, the number of times it was matched, and then the document that it was matched in, the document ID of that document, and so on. So I don't know. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's have a look. If we wanted to print the title. So those are the 4 hotels that have the word seafront in the description. And if I put seafront view, it's going to search for those 2 words throughout the description value, right? So they don't have to be one following the other specifically. That's what makes this a full text search query, is it just searches for those 2 terms throughout. And you have also wildcards. I don't remember them on the top of my head, but like if you want to say to match those 2 words consecutively or not, and so on. And yeah, so full text search is using FTS, the FTS4 SQLite extension. So actually the DSL used for that is going to be what we use as well in that string match operator. Yeah, so as I said, we use full text FTS4 and then a third-party tokenizer and stemmer for full text search. The languages we support are those here. There's an option when you create a full text search to ignore diacritics, so like little asterisks or on like languages like Polish or I don't know, Hungarian probably. But so to match, to have a better full text search result if you're matching on those type of languages. And yeah, that was it. It's a shorter session than the other ones, but yeah. What's Porter? What is Porter? I wasn't expecting that question. I think it's not a language. Okay, we support Porter, but probably never use it. Any other questions?
So I've used full text search on Couchbase 1.x whatever, and I noticed there was a problem with the way that SQLite does full text search, in the sense that I had to like it doesn't recognize like you need the wildcard.
Yeah.
You can't put the wildcard at the beginning of your search. Because the way that SQLite does it. So the solution was to just manually suffix. I think there's actually a method I saw in yesterday's session that you can use on Couchbase proper suffixes, and actually just like takes off the first character on the left and then indexes that, so that you search for a substring
Of that. Yeah.
that and it will catch it. And with MapReduce, I was able to do that manually because you control what was being indexed. How would this work with 2.0? Is that even a
a hidden gem, right? It really is. Right? It's not explained. Let me get back to you on the specific question. Right?
Yeah, I was wondering maybe in that Swift thing, right, if you got open, you just try searching for like, instead of C front, just the word front and see if it catches you. I'm curious to see if that's still an issue.
Yeah. So let's have a look. Okay. Do you remember the names that were there before? Okay. Yeah, I don't think the results from the previous query are not there. Okay, can you memorize that visually? I'll run the previous one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure mole or Penzance wasn't there. No. So it's
Looks like the same problem.
it is still yeah. Yeah, we'll have to look into that afterwards. So any other question? So who's using nickel currently? Okay. So I mean, some of the nickel queries you've probably seen. I mean, on yesterday's workshop, it can be like 5, 6, 7 lines, and it's quite powerful. But that's what we want to do with query on mobile, is to be as close in the API spec as possible to nickel, so that you can transition from one to the other with a different syntax, a different language semantic, but a similar construct, a similar concept. So things like the wildcard on the like operator and things like that. Yeah. And I'll just remind you that, so in the 2.0db documentation, that playground is obviously Swift only. So you can find it here. But we're gonna do something similar for other languages as well, because I think that sometimes you need an example that's just describing what the API does in good examples, rather than a sample app that has all of the application logic around it as well. Okay, all right. Well, I think we finished a bit early, so we'll take a break. Thank you.